Several reports suggest that the decrease in donations could reflect a pay-to-play activity in the years prior to the decline in donations. The numerous pay-to-play reports and allegations has led Congress to call for a special prosecutor to investigate the Clinton Foundation. If you'll raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Without a doubt, we're the most active Freedom of Information Act requester and litigator in the nation today. And it's no secret that Judicial Watch has had concerns over the years about the Clintons' ethics and respect for the rule of law. State Department legal advisors approved Bill Clinton's speeches in China, in Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the UAE, Panama, Turkey, Taiwan, India, the Cayman Islands, and other countries. Documents also show that Mr. Clinton received a staggering sums from Saudi benefactors, specifically between $18 million and $50 million were raised from the Saudis during this time period. While Mrs. Clinton served as Secretary of State, Bill Clinton gave 2 speeches in Saudi Arabia, earning a total of $600,000. He spoke at the Global Business Forum in Riyadh, founded by the Saudi Investment Authority and sponsored by the Dabag Group, a commercial colossus with close ties to the Saudi family. He received $300,000 for that speech. There was one deal that was turned aside, but the exception in many ways proves the rule that this ethics process was no more than a rubber stamp to allow Bill Clinton to raise money from foreign corporations, mostly controlled or too often controlled by foreign governments. Specifically also, the documents show that he was approved to speak to something called Renaissance Capital, which is a Russian government-linked firm that it turns out later was connected to the Uranium One issue. And then we found the Clinton email server. Judicial Watch litigation, to sum up, found the Clinton email server. Our Freedom of Information Act requests and lawsuits forced the State Department to admit they had all these emails they weren't telling anyone about. And also, another employee of the State Department who was participating in this server was Huma Abedin, who, according to testimony she gave to Judicial Watch, needed it to conduct the Clintons' personal and family business. And to be sure, documents that we uncovered later as a result of uncovering the Clinton email server show the Clinton Foundation was in regular contact with Abedin and others in the State Department to get special favors and treatment for supporters and allies of the foundation. Specifically, for instance, Gilbert Chagoury, who was asked to be put in touch with the State Department substance person on Lebanon. This was by Doug Ban, the Clinton Foundation official. Ban notes that Chagoury is a key guy there, Lebanon, and to us, and insists that Abedin call Ambassador Jeffrey Feltman to connect them to Chagoury. Chagoury is a close friend of President Clinton, a top donor to the foundation. He appears near the top of the foundation's donors list, gave between $1 and $5 million to the foundation and pledged $1 billion to the Clinton Global Initiative. I don't know if he actually spent the money. He was convicted in 2000 in Switzerland on money laundering. So you can see many have noted that it was hard to tell where the Clinton's State Department ended and where the Clinton Foundation began. And this was in response to these disclosures, again, not of insider documents, but government documents that have been hidden from the American people. It's so bad that the Crown Prince of Bahrain couldn't get a meeting directly with Mrs. Clinton through the State Department, so he went through the Clinton Foundation to try to get the meeting. Then there's the Uranium One controversy. And specifically, it was a controversial 2010 Uranium One deal. There were monies that were funneled into the Clinton Foundation by Uranium One interests, specifically Mr. Frank Giestra. The foundation promised to disclose these monies in, as I said, this earlier agreement. $31.3 million was given to, for instance, the foundation beginning in January 2008, or around the year 2008. The New York Times has reported that Uranium One's chairman used his family's foundation to make 4 donations totaling $2.35 million to the Clinton operation. And shortly after the Russians announced their intention to acquire this stake in Uranium One, Mr. Clinton received that $500,000 speaking fee from the Renaissance Capital organization. And there is evidence that, in addition to this, that the Clinton Foundation investigations that may have been taking place during the Obama administration were suppressed by the Justice Department. So
Do you
frankly,
solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
At this point, I'd like to answer two questions. Who are we? We are apolitical. We have no party affiliation to this whatsoever. No one has financed us. I don't know Chairman Meadows. I just met him today. I don't know any of you people, okay? I'm happy to meet you, but we have no relationship to any of you, okay? We are forensic investigators that approached this effort in a nonpartisan, professional, objective, and independent way. We follow facts. That's all. None of this is our opinion. I emphasize, none of this is our opinion. These are not our facts. They are not your facts. They are the facts of the Clinton Foundation. We also firmly believe that no one is above the rule of law, regardless of party. We don't have a complaint against anybody. We have a submission of probable cause to the IRS. We saw the controversy surrounding this entity, as well as the significant amount of monies, including U.S. tax dollars, that were flowing through this foundation. We used the FOIA quite substantially and other tools at our disposal to gain quite a bit of public and non-public information. The foundation operated outside the bounds of its approval that came from the IRS. That's our claim. We started with the returns that the foundation filed, not that we filed, not that you filed, that they filed.
We followed the money, so we made extensive spreadsheets of their revenues and expenses. We analyzed their income statements, and we did a macro review of all their donors. Less than 0.1% of the donors gave 80% of the money, so we followed the money. The results were stark.
Our conclusions in the interest of time are this. Foreign agent. The foundation began acting as an agent of foreign governments early in its life and has continued doing so throughout its existence. As such, the foundation should have registered under FARA. Ultimately, the foundation and its auditors acknowledged this fact and conceded in formal submissions that it did operate as an agent. Therefore, the foundation is not entitled to 501c3 tax-exempt privileges as outlined in IRS 170C2.
Additionally, the intentional misuse of donated public funds. The foundation falsely attested that it received funds and used them for charitable purposes, which was in fact not the case. Rather, the foundation pursued an array of activities, both domestically and abroad. The investigation clearly demonstrates that the foundation was not a charitable organization per se, but in point of fact was a closely held family partnership. As such, it was governed in a fashion in which it sought in large measure to advance the personal interests of its principals as detailed within the financial analysis of this submission and further confirmed within the supporting documentation and evidence section. Our last finding, donors' responsibilities. The private foundations that donated to the Clinton Foundation are themselves subject to tax payments on the donations that they made to the foundation under code IRC 4945, unless they meet specific conditions as outlined in IRS code 727-19-582.
So you've submitted that claim or that concern you have to the IRS, what you call a probable cause submission. When did you do that?
August 11th, 2017.
So a year ago, a year and a half ago, almost. Okay? And why did you start this investigation? You getting someone hire you to go dig into this and figure out what's going on?
No, nobody hired us to begin this investigation. We do 501c3 work.
Can you get the committee an example of one of those emails where they're way outside the limits of the parameters of where they're supposed to be?
On that specific example, we're talking about a European country that is in a dialogue with senior members of the foundation and eventually signed an MOU for cash flows to support programs. That was happening in 2002. The library, which is the only approval that the IRS gave to them, to the foundation, was turned over in 2004. 2 years before the library was turned over to NARA. Senior officials are in email exchanges and dialogue negotiating an MOU between a European-based country and an African country. We have those exchanges.
Okay.
So to us, that's a red flag because your approval was for a library. Why are you negotiating health-related contracts? If you wanted to do that, you
Why
can.
won't you give us a copy of whatever it is you submitted?
We anticipated that question. We have this as an ongoing matter. To
What's
say,
the point of not of withholding it from this committee?
I want to answer your question very specifically, because there may be further causes of action that we can't pursue under the law, and we are not going to sacrifice our opportunity to pursue those. This is how we make a living. Not everything that we have done in our investigations are in those submissions. We have not put into our submission anything that is not applicable to a tax.
So there's more to come.
Not necessarily in this forum, but yes.
Now to
We are here, not right versus left. John and I, we are all about right versus wrong.
And there's-
In your analysis, did you come across what appeared to be pay to play? I know that wasn't the focus necessarily,
No,
but did you come across?
To be very clear, our focus is on financial analysis and whether they live within the boundaries. As part and parcel of that investigation, we did come across instances of that, but we put that into a catch-all category
all right.
of just outside the boundaries. That's not.
You use the term agent of a foreign government. Give me an example of that.
You want to take that one, Larry?
Sure. There are so many examples. Mozambique in 2002, there was a memorandum of agreement between the foundation and the Mozambique to work on their behalf through their Ministry of Health program. And again, through that engagement, it was plainly obvious, again, based on emails that we've reviewed, that this was not a Clinton Foundation program per se. They were there to support the Mozambique Ministry of Health. So really, if we want to reduce this to layman's terms, they were brokering money and they were brokering pharmaceuticals. That's the term on Wall Street we use, brokering. John uses the term agent. They were an agent of money through these donors. They would take for lack of a better term, a vig in terms of their fees, broker the money, and then they negotiated these relationships with the pharmaceutical companies. And by the same token, they were brokering the pharmaceuticals and, again, taking the vig.
And is that why you...
There are striking differences between public charities and private foundations. What happened here, for whatever reason, we don't know and don't have an opinion on it, it became a hybrid. And our analysis shows that this hybrid modeled the Global Fund in Geneva, Switzerland.
Succinct and direct and bluntly, maybe dumb it down for me. I mean, you're talking about stuff that, quite frankly, I have no clue. You know, when you start quoting different statutes and things like that, the average American, we just want to know if there's wrongdoing or not. And I know you say you don't have an opinion. If you don't have an opinion, then why did you file a probable cause filing with the IRS? Because obviously you have an opinion that something was wrong or you wouldn't have done a probable cause. Is that correct?
Based on our facts.
On facts.
Based on your facts, do you believe there's probable cause of wrongdoing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Hugely. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me get to this. Have you submitted all those documents to the IRS?
Yes.
Have you submitted them to the FBI?
Yes.
Okay. We will compel you to bring all those documents to this committee then. And I can just tell you, I think you're being poorly advised by your counsel, and I'm saying that directly to you, sir. Let me just tell you, this is a hearing to get to the truth. And what you're saying is you're all about the truth, Mr. Monahan. Isn't that what you said?
Sure, so just ask.
Okay, if you're about the truth, then why aren't you willing to give us the documents?
Because we're explaining the documents. We have other claims. I don't think we should be sacrificing our potential.
I said if I could protect your financial claims and get a commitment from the IRS, would you be willing to give those documents?
But that's not our only claim is with the IRS. You keep making that mistake. Our claim isn't just with the IRS. We have other claims that we can bring.
So you're saying you're going to bring civil or a
We have that
complaint
opportunity.
against the foundation?
We have opportunities that we will pursue. This is what we do for a living.
All right,
sir.
so let me understand. Mr. Monahan, do you believe that based on any interviews that you've done with anybody at the Clinton Foundation that there was criminal activity that might have happened within the Clinton Foundation?
We believe there is indicia of that, yes.
All right, and you base that based on what?
The interviews.
With whom?
We interviewed Mr. Andy Kessel. Larry can speak to that directly. We were together.
We interviewed Mr. Kessel on November 30th, 2016.
His statements to us were very clear and very genuine. He told us that Mr. Clinton, on a regular basis, mixed and matched his personal business on an ongoing basis with that of the foundation.
He would use donated funds to the foundation for personal use. Private annulment is what they would call that.
That was stated to us, yes.
And so were there any other criminal allegations?
Well, he just stated to us very specifically, and it kind of took us both off guard, to be quite frank, guys. I've been doing this business for a long time. When someone says to me, quote, "I know where all the bodies are buried," it was shocking.
But that's high. So what you're saying is you have a confidentiality agreement with someone you interviewed.
Yeah.
And what was that person's position?
A very senior position within the Clinton Healthcare Access Program.
Okay, and what were the allegations that she alerted you to?
She stated very specifically that the funds were used as essentially a piggy bank. You could travel and vacation when you wanted to, that the senior administrators within this fund, operating this fund, treated this and commingled this as personal business, foundation business, for travel and personal expense.
Also referenced Mr. Clinton's relationship with one of his largest donor, that being Bill Gates, at which point in time she said that they were not on speaking terms, and referenced the fact that at this point in time, during 2009, that the Health Initiative had not received prior formal approval by the IRS for their activities. What we are led to believe from this interview was Mr. Gates telling Mr. Clinton, you need to get formal approval for this activity, which went all the way back to 2002. Initially, we asked this individual about the Charity Navigator rating of a 4-star, to which she laughed out loud and said, I've worked within charitable organizations at large firms. The Clinton Foundation is the furthest thing from a 4-star rating.
In fact, that person went on to further state to us that she advised her own friends in multiple businesses where she had worked previous to that to stop donating to the Clinton Foundation. It was so bad.
All right, so gentlemen, I'm going to use documents to the FBI.
Yes.
Do you believe that they have opened up an investigation on it based on your conversations with the FBI?
Yes, yes.
So you believe that there is an open criminal investigation by the FBI on the Clinton Foundation out of what field office?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
So you believe out of Little Rock, Arkansas, there's an open criminal investigation into the Clinton Foundation going based on information that you've submitted to the FBI?
The agent informed me as to how very, very, very grateful he was for our documents in the case fashion in which we presented it.
All right, so that is incredibly important. If you're telling me there's an open criminal investigation, maybe that makes sense why Mr. Huber was not here.
To be very honest with you, I was a little hesitant coming into this second panel here because I feel like you're using us for your own benefit, and we need the information so that we can do the proper oversight that we're responsible for doing.
Excuse me, sir. You invited us. We didn't invite ourselves.
No, but you've not turned over the documents, and we need those documents to perform the
Let me
oversight.
be very clear. You invited us. We told the staff members you
I
weren't going to
understand-
get documents.
I understand
And if
who
you didn't
invited
want to
you.
invite us, then disinvite us.